Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity of New Westminster Spiritual Community on this in-between Sunday, where many people take the opportunity to have a rest after the busy Christmas season, and we get ready for New Year. My name is Reverend Rhona Segarra, and it is my privilege to welcome you all here this morning. If you are here for the very first time, welcome. If you are one of our community already, welcome. It is lovely to see you. And if you're joining us on Facebook, welcome. So, welcome. The Unity Movement teaches spiritual principles for full and abundant living. Full and abundant living here on earth now. We draw on the teachings of Jesus as our primary way shower, our primary example. And we honor the wisdom that is found in faith traditions and faith wisdom all over the planet. We honor every person's right to choose their own spiritual path. All are welcome here. All are worthy here. All are celebrated here. We open our service this morning with a time of prayer and reflection, gratitude. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, we begin by recognizing and acknowledging the Kakite First Nation, as well as all Coast Salish peoples, on whose traditional and unceded territories we live, we work, we play, we learn. We are so grateful that we can be here today in this community of love and unconditional support, where we may be safe together, where we laugh, where we sing, where we learn, where we grow. We know that there is only one power, that power that goes by many names: God, Yahweh, divine intelligence, creator, and thousands of other names. We recognize that we are one with that power, one with whatever name we call that power, that there is no place that power is not. And it is therefore an extension of our understanding of that power that we recognize that we are connected within it and expressions of it. And it is from this connection and this knowledge that we are expressions of divine energy, divine power, that we send a blessing of love and acceptance and peace to every being on this planet, regardless of race, of creed, of nationality, of denomination, of age, of ability, of gender, of who we choose to love. Regardless of all the outer labels, we stand in our love and recognition of our oneness with all. And for this knowledge, for this power to bless, we give thanks. Amen. Amen. The end of 2019. How many of us are ready to see this year move into the past? Yeah, it's been a rough year for many people. And as we move to 2020, one of the things that has been so interesting is it never occurred to me until Jerry mentioned it, but 2020 is perfect vision. And so here we have a time for the end of a decade, the end of a generation, and the time to use this really remarkable number in so many ways to gain clarity for ourselves. So I'm just throwing that out there as an idea of what we might consider for a theme for our individual growth as well as for our community. In 2020, let's have perfect clarity and perfect vision. So at Unity, rather than making New Year's resolutions that we all inevitably fail at by about day number 3, and then feel bad about, and beat ourselves up then for feeling bad about, this is not a cycle that we consider very healthy. And so instead of doing that, at Unity we try and encourage something a little different. And that is, instead of focusing on what is negative and trying to fix it, instead we just choose to release what no longer works for us. And we do that in this ceremony that we call the Burning Bowl ceremony. And it's made up of 2 parts. Charles Fillmore said, he was the co-founder of Unity, and he said, we must learn to let go, to give up, to make room for the things we have prayed for and desired. And there are 2 parts to this. The first is this idea of letting go, of giving up. And I like the word that he uses when he says we need to learn to do that. Because it's not something that I think is inherently that easy for us to do. Normally when we're in a place that something has harmed us or that we're feeling in some way unhealed about, our tendency is to hold on to that and maybe hold on to it a little long past when we needed that pain, when we experienced that pain. Martha Creek speaks about the fact that sometimes you might have a flat tire on the way to work. And you get the flat tire fixed and you get to work and it's 2 hours late. And then for the rest of the day, you're reliving the story of that flat tire. And so the pain may have ended when the tire got fixed. But the suffering continues because we have such joy in the juiciness of the story. And so the idea is to recognize that that's what we do. And maybe to be willing to look at what some of our stories are and whether or not maybe that juiciness isn't actually all that good for us. I know you're laughing because you've experienced that. I know I've done it. We've all done that. Why is it important to create a space? And why is it important to let go? Author Carolyn Myss, in her book, Why People Don't Heal, says, she speaks about spiritual alchemy. And she says that events of the past are lead. They weigh us down when our energy is attached to them. If you have seen the movie A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, you hear Mr. Rogers talking about forgiveness. And he's talking particularly about a person, but it's also about laying down energy. He says, do you know what forgiveness means? It's a decision that we make to release a person from the feelings of anger we have against them. It's a decision we make to release. Jesus, when he was speaking about forgiveness, he was approached by Peter. Peter represents faith. And he was approached by Peter, and Peter said, "How many times should I be forgiving my brother? How many times should I not carry this grudge? Should it be 7? And Jesus said, 70 times 7. Forgiveness, 70 times 7. Releasing the energy of the grudge, of the sadness, of the regret. 70 times 7. Essentially, infinite number. In Unity, we have a thing called the 12 powers that we understand to be attributes that each person has within them that are inherent to them. And we went through those powers at Christmas time when we did our 12 powers candle lighting service. But we're going to invoke some of those powers today. The first that we're going to invoke is the power of imagination. The power of, how would this feel if I didn't have to believe this anymore? How would I feel in my body if this hurt, this harm, this regret was no longer there? How can I imagine that feeling? And then when we get a sense of what that might be and how it might feel in us, then it becomes really easy to go, I ain't going to carry that load anymore. And that is the power of release. It's also a power that we have, that Mr. Rogers says is a decision we make too. It is the decision to choose not to carry it. And then once we've got that, then we use that same power of imagination again to create something different. That is our power of life. And with our power of life, our ability to give life to whatever we choose to activate, we can completely transform how we approach our days. So today, we release and we create. So how it's going to work is I'm going to lead you through part 1 of a meditation. And in that meditation, I'm going to invite you to think about what you're ready to let go. What is that lead-like energy that you are carrying around with you that is harming you far more than it might be harming the person or the situation that is attached to it? And then I'm going to invite you to write that onto a slip of paper in your blue bulletin that looks like this. So that's going to be step 1. Once we've written that word or that sentence or whatever, it doesn't have to be the entire story unless you want it to be. We're going to invite you to come up, beginning at the back, and Lisa will help direct you to the front, and we're going to burn that thing that you are ready to release. Symbolically, energetically, and this is flash paper, so it burns powerfully. And then step 2 will be another meditation. And this meditation is a way of setting an intention for what 2020 might look like for you. And so you will find also envelopes, and a piece of paper with which you will write yourself a letter. And if that freaks you out, that's okay. You can just say, dear you, I love you, and sign it. That would be fine. But we're going to play with this, with our imagination, with our power to release, with our power to create and give new life. We begin.
What am I writing on that sheet of paper?
Well, you'll follow instructions.
Well, I'm trying, but I already forgot what you said.
I know, that's okay. Sounds like you might be my husband. We're going to write on the smallest piece of paper first. I will go through more direction. But we're going to write through the smallest piece of paper first with what we're willing to release. And then on the longer piece of paper, I'll lead you through what that might look like. But essentially, it's going to be it'll be touching the wisdom that is already within you at the highest possible level, the most loving level you can get to. And then writing a letter from there to yourself about what your dreams might be for 2020.
That's a long letter.
It could be a long letter, especially if you're my husband. So, before we begin, does everybody have pens and paper? We've got all that ready. So, we're going to take a moment. I invite you to close your eyes if that is comfortable for you. And breathe normally, bringing your attention, though, to your breath. This is a way to help allow your body to become settled, allow your mind to become settled. With each breath, feel your body becoming heavier in your seat. As you give yourself permission to be here, in this place. We have the power to choose what we hold onto and what we release. I invite you now to think of beliefs, regrets, grudges, attitudes, behaviors that no longer work for you. Ask yourself the question, what am I ready to release? What am I ready to let go of? And when you are ready and feel free to write, please write a word, a sentence onto your flash paper. So as we move into a time of silence so that you can reflect, I invite you to write what you are willing to release. when you are ready, please open your eyes. I'm going to invite Gladys and Allison to come up and assist with this at the front, and Gisela will guide us from the back. I also want to demonstrate what this will look like when you bring your flash paper up. Inside this brass, inside this brass canister is a lit candle. Please hold the tongs at the end, and you're going to light, standing away from it quite a bit because it does flash. Allison will have the water bottle. However, I'm pretty sure we won't need it, but I do want to demonstrate how easily that happens. Okay? That wasn't even above the thing very high. And you'll see there's nothing left. So just hold it and let it do its thing. But don't be startled, and that's what I wanted to show you. Yes. We've cleared. We've released. I invite you to close your eyes with me if that is comfortable for you. And use that power of imagination to feel the release, to feel the freedom of not carrying that load. How uplifting, how levitating. And within each of us is wisdom. And I invite you now to imagine the voice of wisdom within you. The voice of love, the voice of faith. Calling you to a greater expression of yourself. What is it that is yours to grow into in 2020? Allow that voice that is your highest self to write you a love letter. A letter that encourages you to step forth into a greater expression of yourself for 2020. What will that letter say? What is your soul's longing? Take a few minutes on that larger piece of paper. And after a time of quiet reflection, write that love letter to yourself. Once it is written, place it into an envelope. Write your address on it. It will be mailed to you in the next year. For now, in the silence, what is your vision for 2020?